The death of a child is always an awful, heart-wrenching experience for the parents as they are left with thoughts and questions for many years after the sad event. Parents who have lost children grieve and may wonder if perhaps they could have done anything to prevent the death of their child, and what their lives could have been if things had gone in a different direction. This must have been some of the thoughts running through the minds of the parents of the young girl in our story today. Welcome to this channel. Today, we are going to take a look at the disappearance and murder of a young girl named Molly Anne Bish. Before we continue, make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you like watching true crime videos to get the latest information on topics like this. Our story today is about the case of a 16-year-old girl, Molly Anne Bish, from rural Worcester County, who disappeared while working as a lifeguard in her hometown of Warren, Massachusetts. She was confirmed dead when her remains were found 3 years later in Hampton, a neighboring county. Molly was only 16 at the time of her disappearance. Molly Anne Bish was born in Warren, Massachusetts, and she began working as a lifeguard at a place called Commons Pond in Warren. Massachusetts in the summer of 2001. On the 26th of June 2000, the day before she disappeared, her mother had seen a man with a mustache in a white car parked in the lot of where Bish's lifeguard post was located. She had thought that he seemed quite suspicious, but did not give it too much thought till her daughter disappeared. On the day of her disappearance, Bish's mother drove her daughter to Commons Pond and dropped her off close to the lifeguard station. Bish's mother, Maggie, had not seen any sign of the suspicious-looking stranger that she had noticed the day before, neither was there any sign of his white sedan. Contrary to Maggie's report, however, another witness claimed to have seen a man matching the stranger's description in the parking lot only minutes before Bish had arrived. A local worker also claimed to have seen a car matching that of the stranger's sedan at a cemetery connected to the pond by a path. Maggie Bish, the mother of the victim, was the last known person to see Molly Bish before she disappeared. Later that day, Maggie was contacted by the police saying that no lifeguard had been on duty that day and her daughter's belongings had been left on her station unattended. Without wasting any time, an extensive search for Molly Bish was immediately launched. This search would go on to become the largest and most expensive search to be undertaken in the whole of Massachusetts. But it would take more than 2 years before the body of Molly Anne Bish would be found. Molly's case was profiled on numerous American television shows which included Disappeared, America's Most Wanted, Unsolved Mysteries, and 48 Hours. A hunter moving through Whiskey Hill in Palmer had reported seeing a blue bathing suit in the woods in the late fall of 2002, but didn't mention it to anyone until May of 2003 when he revealed to Tim Mugwigan, who then contacted the police. There was soon after an intense search of the area, which then led to the discovery of Molly's remains. Her body was found on the 9th of June 2003, about 8 kilometers or 5 miles from her family home. There was no certain cause of death at the time her body was discovered, but it was presumed by the detectives that she was murdered and her remains were buried. Following Bish's presumed kidnapping and murder, a couple of suspects came under investigation by the police. It began in 2005 with a Connecticut resident who had been charged with kidnapping, but that was only for a brief period of time. Soon after, in 2009, another suspect came into the radar of the police investigators. Roger Stanger was a Florida resident who was convicted for killing his girlfriend. He was said to have lived at Southbridge, Massachusetts, which was a few miles from Warren, for more than 20 years. Stanger had moved to Florida a year after Molly had been murdered. Just immediately after the death of Crystal Morrison, Stanger's girlfriend for 20 years, Morrison's sister alerted the authorities. Stanger was also known to have white a car which was similar to the one that had been seen on the day before Molly disappeared. He was also known to go fishing at Commons Pond from time to time and hunting at the woods where Molly's body was discovered. In addition to that, police also noted that Stanger strongly matched the description of the man Maggie had seen in the parking lot on the day before her daughter had disappeared, but Stanger has not still been charged for the case. During the investigation of Molly's murder, Stanger was also questioned in connection with Holly Piranen, who had gone missing in Sturbridge. Holly Pironin was a fellow Massachusetts resident who had been killed several years earlier, and her body found in a wooded area in Hampden County. The police had considered a possibility that the two cases were related. Molly and Holly were the same age as at the time she was murdered, and it was said that in 1993, Molly had written a letter of hope to Holly Pironin's parents. In 2012, forensic evidence led investigators to David Pouliot, who had died in 2003 as a person of interest in the Pironin case. In November 2011, Gerald Bashantisny, a confidential informant for the Eastern Hampton Narcotic Task Force, was identified as a suspect by Don Malley, a private investigator in Massachusetts. Bashantisny had served some time in prison for repeatedly raping a girl in the early 1990s. It was reported that he had attempted committing suicide after being mentioned as a person of interest in the murder of Bish and Pironin. Bashantisny, who already had a criminal record dating back to 1980, had been in the area where Molly's body was found, and he also matched the description of the man that Maggie had seen in the park on the day before Molly disappeared. After Gerald had been named a person of interest, Don Malley, the private investigator, and Molly's parents requested for a DNA test. The DNA evidence was then sent to Texas. Gerald Bashantisny later died in November 2014 at a hospital in Jamaica Plain. Though investigation into the disappearance and murder of Molly Bish is ongoing, there have been no arrests made in the case. However, a new person of interest was announced on June 12, 2021, by Joseph Early, the district attorney at Worcester County. The person of interest was a man named Francis P. Sumner. Sumner, who died in 2016, was a registered sex offender with up to 20 pages in criminal records. Sumner was found dead in his residences at Spencer on the 4th of May 2016. The district attorney was not exactly clear about how Sumner was related to the case, but claimed that there was recent information that had caused the police investigators to look into Sumner. On the 9th of July 1989, Sumner was convicted of aggravated rape and kidnapping from an attack that had taken place in October the year before inside an apartment that he was trying to let. His conviction led to a concurrent sentence of 15 to 18 years on the rape charge and 9 to 10 years on the kidnapping charge. While he was serving his jail term, the earliest Sumner could have been released was in 1997. Though it is not clear how long Sumner had been jailed for that case, one thing that was clear was that Sumner was a notorious criminal who had been jailed multiple times throughout his life. The case of Molly Bish is one which has touched the heart of many. It was a great loss to the people of Warren, and an even greater loss to her parents, who probably never got over the murder of their daughter. In remembrance of their daughter, Maggie and John Bish founded the Molly Bish Center in 2004 in collaboration with the Anne Murray College. This center was created for the protection of young children and the elderly in the hopes of preventing a horrifying incident like Molly's from repeating itself. The perpetrators who had took the life of 16-year-old Molly Bish have not been found and convicted, and the case of Molly Anne Bish remains fresh in the minds of the people of Warren as the investigation and search for the perpetrator of the gruesome act continues. We can only hope that the truth behind Molly's disappearance and murder comes to light, and that justice is served to the ones behind this evil crime. Thanks for watching. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below, and please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video.